there is a pain that almost no one sees. It doesn't scream, it doesn't bleed, it doesn't cause a scandal, but it weighs heavily, and it weighs heavily every day. It's the pain of feeling trapped in an invisible cycle, of waking up and trying again, of believing that this is going to happen. But deep down, something inside whispers that it will be more of the same. It's the emptiness of doing everything right, and yet everything seems wrong. It's as if the world is always 2 steps ahead, and you are tied to a past that should have gone away by now, but never will. And when you start to doubt yourself, when you start to wonder if there is something wrong with you, that's when the universe responds, not with ready-made answers, but with encounters, with signs, with this video. You might think you got here by chance, that it was just another suggestion among so many. But what if it isn't? What if it's part of something bigger that your mind doesn't yet understand? Science is beginning to explain what the heart has always known. Everything is connected. What you feel, what you think, what you consume. Everything vibrates, and everything responds. Bruce Lipton calls this the biology of belief. Greg Braden talks about an informational field that intertwines everything. And true spirituality, the kind that has no formulas, the kind that doesn't promise miracles, only confirms you got where you needed to go at the exact moment you were ready to hear something that, until yesterday perhaps, you wouldn't have been able to hear. This video is not here to give you answers. It is here to give you back the key you lost without realizing it. The key that opens the inner doors that you locked when you tried to be too strong, when you had to hold back your tears, when you believed you couldn't stop. It is a vibrational key. It doesn't fit into physical locks. It fits into memories, in sensations, in parts of you that were silenced but never forgotten. Because maybe, up until now, you have tried to think positively, and you thought that would be enough. But there was still something in your body, something in your gestures, in your reactions, in your breathing, that said otherwise. And this creates a conflict, a noise between what you desire and what you vibrate, between what you dream and what you feel. But the fact that you are here now is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of readiness. This is the moment when the mind begins to surrender and the body begins to speak. This is the moment when the masks tire of falling and true awakening begins to happen, not in thinking, but in feeling, not in force, but in listening, not in haste, but in the right time. And you are at the right time. That is why this video has arrived, because when the internal frequency changes, the universe responds. It responds with encounters, with metaphors, with intuitions, and sometimes with a video. Breathe, don't rush. Breathe like you're coming home. Because maybe you are. What follows is not theory. It is experience. It is unlocking. It is memory being activated. And you don't need to understand everything now. You just need to keep going. Because every word from here on out will touch on something you already knew, but had forgotten. And what you remember, you transform. Have you ever felt like you were evolving, but at the same time, everything remained exactly the same? As if on the outside, you had changed, but on the inside, something was still stuck. It's as if there were 2 versions of you, one that seeks light, that studies, meditates, believes, and another silent, that repeats the same patterns, that reacts without wanting to, that sinks into the same void. This feeling has a name: vibrational dissonance. Bruce Lipton reminds us of something most people ignore. 95% of our lives are run by unconscious programs. You can think positively all you want. You can repeat mantras, visualize and affirmations. But if your body, your cells, are still vibrating in trauma, still connected to fear, rejection, and guilt, then your energy field will continue to emit signals from the past. And that is exactly what the universe hears. Not your words, but your vibration. Not your will, but your frequency. Spirituality does not only happen in the mind, it happens in the body. And when the body still holds old pains, every attempt to awaken becomes an unconscious staging. We often call this performative spirituality. It's when we follow rituals, light incense, talk about gratitude, but we don't listen to what's really screaming inside us. It's when we use spirituality as an escape, not a bridge. The body is more than flesh. It is living memory. Each cell holds stories. Each muscle, a response. The way you breathe, the way you walk, the way you shrug your shoulders when something threatens you, the way your stomach tightens when someone criticizes you. These are all somatic records. It is as if your body still lives in a time that your mind has already left behind. And if your body is still there, the universe is still there too, because it responds to your real vibration, not your superficial intention. And then the inevitable question, how can we change that? Not with effort, but with listening. 1 minute, just 1 minute a day in silence, but a different silence, a deep silence. No music, no noise, no expectations. A minute in which you just feel your body. Close your eyes, listen to your breathing, and ask, silently, what are you trying to tell me? Maybe there will be pain, a heat, a tightness, an emptiness. Don't judge, just listen. Because before changing, you need to welcome. Before transforming, you need to listen. The body holds the key. And maybe it's just waiting for you, for once, to stop trying to fix it and just embrace it. Because it's not what you think that creates your reality. It's what you vibrate. And when mind and body come into conflict, the universe responds to the body. There is a tiredness that does not come from the body. It comes from the soul. A tiredness of trying, of insisting, of asking for signs, of forcing time to respond. It is the tiredness of those who, even believing in the invisible, still carry the anxiety of wanting to control the invisible. Have you ever felt this? You believe in the law of attraction, in the power of thought, in the spirituality of the universe, but inside there is still an urgency, a restlessness, a tight knot in your chest that asks, when will it happen? Why hasn't it arrived yet? What am I doing wrong? Bruce Lipton brings a simple but profound revelation. Intention is not the same as tension. Wanting something clearly is different from fighting for it to happen. When you put in too much effort, you are telling your body and the universe that it is still far away, that it is missing, that it is not yours. And the energy field responds exactly to what you vibrate. Absence. Tension often arises from fear, from scarcity, from the belief that if you don't push the river, it won't flow. But the river doesn't need to be pushed. It already has a path. Greg Braden tells us about the field that connects everything, a field that responds not to force, but to coherence. And coherence is born when you trust, when your request comes not from a wound, but from surrender. There is a rebound effect of silent anxiety, the kind that you can't see in your eyes, but that vibrates in your chest. The incessant search for signs may be hiding a deeper wound, that of not feeling worthy of receiving. And this distrust, even if unconscious, creates an invisible energetic barrier. Stop for a moment and change the question. Instead of, "Why hasn't it happened yet?" ask, "What part of me still believes I don't deserve to receive this?" This shift changes everything, because it stops looking outside and starts listening inside. And when the answer comes, it comes as a whisper. Sometimes you will realize that you are trying to control, not because you trust, but because you fear. Neville Goddard said that it does not manifest with desire, but with the certainty of already being, and this certainty is gentle. It is like the gardener who plants and does not return every day to pull the plant with his hands. He waters, he trusts, he knows that the root grows in the invisible. You don't need to chase after what is already yours by vibrational right, but your body needs to know it. Your cells need to feel it, and they will only feel it when you stop trying to force it. True manifestation is not born out of desperation. It is born out of inner rest, from that space where you don't wait for something. You already are that. You're already on that frequency, and at that frequency, the universe doesn't hesitate. It just acknowledges. There are times when everything seems to be a cycle. Situations change scenery, people change faces, but the plot is the same. It's as if you are reliving the past with a different makeup. Relationships that end the same way. Opportunities that fall apart at the same point. Emotions that insist on coming back, even after so much effort to leave them behind. Bruce Lipton offers us a revolutionary perspective on this. What repeats itself in your life is not bad luck. It is active programming. It is the exact reflection of the emotional memories that still live within you, and that silently guide your actions, your words, your choices. The subconscious does not forget what the conscious tries to ignore, and the universe does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you vibrate. You may be trying hard. You may be visualizing your ideal life, repeating affirmations, meditating every day. But if deep down your imagination is still tainted by fear, trauma, and guilt, it will create distorted images. As Neville Goddard warned, you dream of love, but fear rejection. You desire prosperity, but feel guilty about receiving it. You long for freedom, but fear losing control. And so, a fragmented, confused, contradictory vibration is created. There's no mistake in you. There's only a root that still beats, an ancient emotional root that holds the hidden gain of that pain. Because yes, even pain offers a comfort zone. Sometimes, repeating suffering is easier than risking happiness. Failing relationships may be protecting you from the intimacy your system still fears. Financial failure may be hiding a belief that success brings loneliness. Everything that repeats itself is trying to tell you something that has not yet been heard in depth. When you try to understand this pattern, don't just ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask courageously and gently, "What is my unconscious trying to protect?" Or, "What does it still think it gains from this?" This question has no immediate answer. It is an invitation, a lens that changes everything. Imagine someone trying to build a new house on the ruins of an old one that was never removed. No matter how beautiful the new structure is, it will crack, because the foundation still bears the marks of everything that was experienced, the memories stored in the body, the silences of childhood, the unconscious pacts made in pain. The universe is not punishing you. It is responding to your deepest vibration, the one you didn't even know was still active. And that's when everything starts to change. Not when you fight the patterns, but when you start listening to them. The pattern is the key. Repetition is the map. Pain, if listened to with presence, reveals the hidden code that binds your reality. And what once seemed like punishment turns out to be a call for liberation. There is a point where science and spirituality meet in silence. It is where the heart becomes more than an organ. It becomes a transmitter. Joe Dispenza reminds us, there is a real, measurable electromagnetic field radiating from the human heart. And when that field is in coherence with the mind and cells, the entire body sings the same frequency. In this state, the universe doesn't just listen, it responds. Maybe you have felt that you need to run after your dreams, your desires, your answers. Maybe you have exhausted yourself trying to change, trying to manifest, trying to align yourself. But what vibrational coherence teaches is the opposite of that. It is not by running that you get there. It is by tuning in. When there is harmony between thought and emotion, time changes. The body slows down, synchronicities intensify, and things do not happen through effort, but through resonance. You stop being a beggar of the universe and become a conscious participant in the cosmic dance. But there is noise. There's always noise. Small interferences that sabotage this state of coherence. Old hurts that have not been digested, inherited guilt, stifled anger, emotions that continue to vibrate even when the mind tries to ignore them. These emotions do not disappear with time. They accumulate, and they create a confused, distorted, truncated, energetic signature. To dissolve these noises, you need presence, not force, not rush, but radically honest internal listening. Stop for a moment and observe. What emotion has been constant in you? Sadness, insecurity, anxiety? Where does it live in your body? In your tight chest? In your tense stomach? In your clenched jaw? When you recognize this emotion, breathe, not to erase it, but to let it be. Resistance is what holds it back. Acceptance is what sets it free. This small gesture of feeling without judgment begins to tune the strings of your inner instrument. You don't need to understand everything right now, or heal everything today, but you do need to listen. The universe is like a harp. It plays back what you vibrate. And when your mind, your heart, and your body play in unison, the melody that is emitted is so clear, so pure, that the entire reality begins to reorganize itself around you. In this state, time ceases to be linear. What was distant becomes closer. What was confusing takes shape. What was dark becomes illuminated. And then you realize it wasn't about asking for more. It was about tuning in better. Bruce Lipton reveals that timing isn't a matter of magic or luck. It's deep biology. Your body, your cells, your DNA are continually responding to the environment they're in, and that includes everything you take in, from the air you breathe to the information you let in. What you see, hear, and feel is a reflection of what you're already ready to acknowledge within yourself. Greg Braden takes this idea to another level, talking about vibrational entanglement, this invisible connection that links your inner field to the universal field. Nothing comes to you by chance. This video, this moment, is part of a larger conversation, a subtle dance between your energy and the cosmos, between your frequency and the frequency of the universe. You are not attracted to this video because of a simple, high thought or momentary desire. You're attracted to it because something in you is in transition, in change. Something is germinating within you. This content is a seed, carefully planted in that fertile soil that is your authenticity. The time that governs us is not chronological. It is energetic. The clock that marks your awakening is the same one that makes your heart align with your consciousness. When this alignment happens, what previously seemed like a coincidence reveals itself as purpose, a clear sign, an answer from the universe that you are ready to hear. Finally, don't look for immediate answers. Be silent after listening. Listen to the echo that remains within you. There, in the calm and deep reverberations, lies the next revelation, the next step, the next key to your transformation. Embrace this journey with patience and kindness toward yourself. The universe is always speaking. You just have to be willing to listen.